Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian, a real human boy, Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game. Welcome to the Power Hour podcast.
What a weekend. Yes, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 265. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have us a guest tonight. We have us, obviously one of our favorite people in the whole goddamn world ever since starting this freaking page. He is the guy who gets into all the shenanigans with us when we go to conventions at this point. He is the one and only Dan from Console Wars. Dan, what are you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Dan, we were just talking. How you feeling after this weekend?
I'm hurting. I am hurting. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I was not going to drink, but I decided I'm going to drink. So here I go.
Right.
There it is. There's the sound of future regrets right there.
Yo, cheers, boys. As if we didn't do enough this weekend.
Cheers, boys.
By the way, I like you're keeping with the Michelob. You know, that was like the beer of the convention for us. Did we ever deviate from that?
I think we just stuck with it.
Stuck to that.
Yeah.
I think the first day when we were in like the normal food line, we might have had like Miller or something like that. But once we found the superior beer spot, we just did Michelob the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jim, do me a favor, actually. Can you lower your chair a little bit? I want to.
Son? All right, so we're going to get in all these shenanigans. I'm done sitting in the cuck chair. I'm tired of being the tiny boy. This is ridiculous.
Just a real human boy, that's all.
He's just a real... just pat him on the head.
This is going to be a whole episode of people going, what the fuck are these guys talking about? This episode's for us, damn it. But yes, before we get into all the shenanigans from TooManyGames, we're recording this on the 1st. It was just this past weekend. We're 2 days removed from a ridiculous amount of drinking. So, Dan, we saw you have the Michelob. Brian, looks like you had something a little fancier. What do you got going on there?
Yeah, so that Wiseacre brewery I was talking about, I still have a few of their beers from Memphis, Tennessee. This one's called Starless. It's their Schwarz beer. Jim, what does Schwarz beer mean? We've been over this many times, so you should remember.
Brian, you're making a lot of assumptions here. I completely forget.
Dan, do you know what Schwarz beer means?
I have no idea.
It's black beer. It's literally just German for black beer.
I'll be damned.
So, there you go. So, Jim, say it. What's the beer?
Black beer, Brian. Schwarz beer.
Yeah, there you go. So, Jim,
Dan,
I saw
say
you
it.
got Coors Light.
Schwarz. I can say Schwarz. There's nothing wrong with that.
Not only do I have Coors Light, I have our one remaining hams. So I'm feeling nostalgic
Is that
for
the
the
one
weekend.
you never finished?
I don't know. It was unopened, so I don't know whatever the fuck happened. But yep, we had one survivor. We came to the hotel with 48 beers, and one made it out alive. That's strictly for pre-gaming before going on the floor, by the way.
So I calculated it out, and that means we consumed approximately 22 beers each over the weekend.
Well,
so because I assumed we went up, and that's minimum, because we each bought a round every time we were in a convention.
Yeah.
And at minimum, I know we each did 2 rounds. I'm not counting even the beers at the after stuff. I'm saying minimum. That's how much.
Oh.
So,
yeah. So yeah, it's definitely at least over more than 30, probably realistically.
And where were they? Like
across
16-ounce
both days.
beers too.
Yeah, eventually we got to all the pints and all the pounders. So yeah, and everything on the convention floor was all pounders. So yeah, we put in some work there, boys. Our poor livers. Good thing I had my milk thistle.
Goddamn milk thistle. God. You know, I've been saying that to myself all day. God damn you, Jim. God damn you. Milk thistle. My milk thistle.
Hey, old weak stomach Jimmy didn't do any puking. Who puked? Brian. Why? No milk thistle. Tell me I'm wrong. Science works.
But I rebounded the best, even though I had probably one of the heaviest Friday nights, because you bitched out in the middle of the night. That's why we forced you to drink a lot more Saturday.
I didn't bitch out. I just disappeared places where it was less likely for me to have alcohol. Look, I spent a goddamn enough this past weekend. I made the mistake of looking at my debit card and going, fuck.
Oh, I still refuse to look at that thing. I'm like, I don't want to know.
If you want to save some sanity, don't.
Yeah. I think one of you told me, what was the price of each beer? $9 at least?
That was
Yeah.
at the convention, so I don't even know what they were individually at the after party.
Yeah.
I think they were cheaper at the after party, but they were still not exactly cheap.
Well, actually, I was kind of curious. I know we stopped at a bunch of booths. I know I bought 2 games while we were there. I got Warlock for the Super NES and Crypt Killer for PS1, the gun game. So, of course, going with the horror stuff, went to our buddy Michelle's sister's booth. Jim, I think I did see you. What'd you get? I remember you showed me, but I feel like I forgot.
Well, Brian, you kept with your horror gimmick. I kept with my pinball gimmick because I got Crew Ball, the pinball game for the Sega Genesis based around Motley Crue. So it has digitized versions of Dr. Feelgood, Home Sweet Home, and Livewire as you play. What more can a person need? Except for knocking over a whole bunch of games, and Michelle had to pick them up. Sorry, Michelle.
You know,
Can't take me anywhere. That was before I was even really drinking that day, too.
No, we had a lot of beers before then.
Yeah.
All right, good. Thanks for the bailout, Dan. I was completely drunk. And not just a mess.
I have to tell this story because you reminded me this weekend, Jim. So me, the wife, took the kids out, and Jim came with his daughter, and we saw Inside Out 2. And Inside Out, for those of you who don't know, it's about a kid who
I know where this
has
is going.
all these emotions. But in Inside Out 2, she introduces a few new emotions. And the one emotion is called embarrassment. And I'm going to put this photo up here. It's a really big guy in all senses of the word. And he's got a big nose, and he's got a hoodie. And he's just very, very awkward. The way we were seated, Jim was sitting next to my son. My son turns to him. He goes, "That's you up there." And then a minute later, I text Jim. I said, "Jim, that's you." And he said, "God damn it." And now his daughter is just calling him that emotion. She's like, "Daddy, that is you."
She's like, "Daddy, I'm joy, and you're embarrassment." I'm like, "Thank you." But I'm just so glad that the 7-year-old next to me immediately looked at me and went, "Haha, that's you." Love my family. Every day is a blessing.
But Jim, you are the king of the handshake. When it's time to say goodbye, some get hugs, some get handshakes.
Sure do, don't they? Look, Brian, that's just well, yeah. Probably happened this time too. Whatever.
We've settled many debates. 1, we got to force you to drink. 2, Dan and I, we're the victims. That's all.
No, you're victims, all right.
Dan, what? I forget. Did you buy any games?
Yeah, I also bought a game at Michelle's sister's booth. I bought Quackshot for Sega Genesis. Quackshot.
Oh, you bought that? Nice. I didn't even realize.
Yeah. And I did buy a record. I actually have that.
That's right. Yeah,
I bought the World of Ruin, Final Fantasy VI arrangement of the music to a melancholy sound. So, yeah. So I'm essentially going to smoke one day and just listen to it. There you go.
Dan, why don't you buy any of the $100 records they had there?
Because I'm not made of money.
Dude, I think every time we've gone, it's very safe to say we spent way more on alcohol than we've ever spent on games combined across every convention.
Yeah, I think the first year when we really weren't drinking, we only stayed for a couple hours. We bought a couple games, but yeah, ever since then, it's mainly just a booze fest for us.
Yeah. So Dan, you made the right decision to keep drinking with us tonight. But before we go on, first, let the folks know, what's the latest episode of Console Wars, and what other little tidbits can you give the folks of what's to come?
Well, the latest episode of Console Wars is it's a newer game. It's going to be Xenocrisis for the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. I believe it just recently came out for Super Nintendo. It's been out for Sega Genesis. It's out for a bunch of consoles.
It's out for almost anything at this point. But yeah,
yeah,
the SNES version came out in the last 4 months, I want to say.
Yeah, so been playing that and getting rocked because it is hard. Actually, I had to reach out to Bitmap Bureau, the developers of it. I'm like, yo, give me some of those Super Nintendo cheat codes. So I got some cheat codes to help me get through the game because I don't think I'm gonna be able to beat it. Spoilers. So,
Dude, that game was surprisingly hard. Like, when I first tried it, I think I played on the Switch, and I was like, am I just this bad, or is this game actually this hard? Like, I couldn't figure it out. Turns out it's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and to get the good ending, you have to beat it without using any continues. So that's a feat I will never do.
Is
Yeah,
that your new Tetris 99?
No. I don't need that kind of commitment just yet. Right, I'm trying to riff on a little bit of not stress just for maybe a week before I jump into the new one. It was a long 5 years.
No, but obviously, and anyone watching this, as Jim alluded to, Dan, obviously, we have all your links below, but where can everyone find you? Where should they be subscribing?
you could check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/console wars, or our live channel, Console Wars Live, which is probably youtube.com/console wars live. I don't know the actual handle of that one. I usually should stream on there. Pat's been streaming on there a lot, so if you like Pat, you'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, I saw he has been streaming Super Castlevania 4.
Yeah.
Which, probably my favorite Castlevania, so it's a great choice.
He's a night owl. He goes late, so.
Yeah. We, obviously, if you're watching this, chances are you know Console Wars, but we got all their links below. Make sure you are subscribing to them, checking them out. Now, Dan, have you had any chance at all between the kid, the channel, work? Have you been having any time to actually just game for yourself, and what have you been playing?
Well, like I said, I've been playing Xenocrisis, trying to get good at it. I can't get past level 3 on either game right now, so gonna give those cheat codes a try tomorrow and make some mileage or get some distance on that game. But other than that, it's really hard. Actually, the other day my buddy came over and he never played Streets of Rage 4. So I was like, check out Streets of Rage 4, bud. And then he played that. And then after that, because I only had one controller for my PlayStation 4, and that's where my Streets of Rage 4 was. So I was like, oh, let's play a 2-player game. So then we played Shredder's Revenge, which he had also never played. So that was really fun to play again because I haven't really played it since it came out. And forgot how fun that game was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great one. All right, nice. Now, what about you, Chambers? Now that your saga of Tetris 99 is over, what have you been dumping your time into?
The little bit of time I had to game last week went just to the Wastelands and Fallout. So I want to hopefully start in on, Postal 2. I want to get around to it, but every time I do, I'm like, but I should just finish Fallout first. So I'm just going to have to at least get one of the endings done in Fallout. Like, I'm just past the beginning of the Institute at this point, so what is that storyline-wise? Probably like the halfway point? Maybe a little bit further. Please be a little bit further.
No, it's pretty far. I told you. I'm scared to say certain things because I don't want to spoil shit for you. But
right.
You know the
big reveal,
Institute, Brotherhood of Steel,
Railroad,
and the Railroad. So yeah, those are your 4. So if you've already been introduced to all of them, now you're kind of on that path like all Fallout games, where eventually you're going to hit the point where you got to pick one and finish off the game with it. So,
all right, nice. Let's get that shit done. I got homework to do. I got assignments, but I'm a distractible boy, as Brian remembers.
Yes, you are. Yeah, I did a tiny bit of Fallout 4, and I still am going through that serial cleaners game. But it's been a slow week. But what I will say is every time we do too many games, my need and want to go back to like a lot of retro games spikes up pretty bad. Like, for some reason, I want to go and just play a shit ton of beat 'em ups from the Super NES. I don't know why. Like, I just want to revisit them. That's just what happens. I think it's when we're there, and I'm seeing that all across the screens. I don't know. That's just me, though.
Bri, spend $7,000 on the competition cartridge of Donkey Kong Country. Do it.
Oh,
I'm not the one that gets put in the midget chair, Jim.
Don't be a bitch. I'm too short to afford games like that. It's a power struggle in society.
Jim, just burn out your credit card till it melts. Don't be a bitch.
Oh, God. No, I'm already enough of the fuck. What was that?
As long as you don't leave it, I was gonna say, as long as you don't leave it at the bar again, you know. It's like,
yeah,
you're the only one that did, not me. You forgot, and you alone, not me.
Eventually, yes, it was just me who was the one who left my card there. Son of a bitch. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But before that, we got a little brass tacks to do. We got us our Patreon questions over at patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. Only one this week from good old Burn Retinas. The game community complains about the rising cost of games, predatory practices, and mediocre releases following massive hype. These changes would, of course, mean possible regulation. Do gamers have it too good and are over-entitled, or is the mainstream industry just that bad?
What does he mean by predatory practices?
Like microtransactions, season passes, content locked behind paywalls, bullcrap like that. Very addictive play styles like gacha games and all that bullshit, too.
Ooh. Dan, we'll let you go first.
What the? I've been listening to your podcast last few weeks, and every Patreon question, I was like, oh, I would love to answer that. Oh, I'd love to answer that. This one? Like, what the fuck? So, do gamers have it too good? Was that something like that?
Basically, it's like, do gamers have it too good, or does the industry suck? Where do you lie?
I mean, the industry sucks, that's for sure. But, like, I don't, because the thing is, I don't play a lot of the modern stuff, so like I don't know a lot of the stuff you just mentioned before. Like I was like, what is that stuff that people pay for? Like I have no idea. Like I'm just playing these old Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis games because I'm 40, I'm too old, I can't do it. So I'm gonna assume the industry sucks, but it's pretty good for people still sometimes. So I have no idea. I'm out.
Yeah, here's the deal. I think, as you were saying it, Jim, on top of just asking, does the industry suck, he kind of like laid in that question, like, should there be regulation on some of the practices by industry? We've talked about it. It's not like there's only like 2 or 3 things you can do. There's a gazillion games. You could spend your entire time playing retro games and not have to deal with the headaches of modern bullshit. It's really goddamn stupid to me for them to be like, are they making games too addictive for kids? Like, that's the whole point of games. Like, of course they make them addictive. And I think the phone games, are their own. Those are the crazy ones. Like, all the micro bullshit. Like, you with Clash of Clans, like, we'll be out in the middle of playing games or with people, and you'll have your head down playing Clash of Clans because you are that addicted to that goddamn game.
Yep, going on like 7 years now. It's a sickness. Luckily, I don't spend on it, but yep, sick boy.
But you have spent on other mobile games before.
Yes, I have. We talked about good old Marvel Clash of Heroes, which doesn't even exist anymore. Money well spent.
So, yeah, I mean, I think anything that could target kids to spend real-time money is a problem, sure. But then you could also argue it's a parent's job to deal with that. So I don't think there needs to be regulation. I do think the industry sucks. But gamers, it's not like you don't have plenty of options. If you don't like something, just fucking emulate. And you can play thousands and thousands of games. There you go.
Yeah, and I mean, to answer the question, the industry, like, I don't have interest in almost any AAA game that's been released in a long time. Like, I want to play Baldur's Gate eventually, but I know that's going to be an extreme time sink because it's a, strategy RPG, basically, tactical strategy game. So it sounds up my alley after XCOM, but I'm like, fuck. All right, I got to block off like 200 hours eventually to get like my money's worth, and I just do not have that kind of time. And everything else is just like some cinematic bullshit like Last of Us or Uncharted or Final Fantasy. I don't care. I don't fucking care. So outside of like Nintendo releases, I just don't care about modern games for the most part. But yeah, I guess that's why I play a lot of titty pinball and indie games. So yeah, be like me. Play more titty pinball.
Dan, can I request, I'm going to send you money. You become a Patreon and request that we play Chrono Trigger just to force Jim to go through a full RPG.
No. No, too much walking and not enough anything. Fuck.
It breaks Dan's heart every time he hears that.
Dan's like, spend, torture Jim. Spend, torture Jim.
Yeah.
But then Dan remembers life tortures me, and he doesn't have to spend.
Whoa, we torture you enough with our drinking games that I guess we'll talk about later, yeah?
Oh, we sure as hell will.
Is it torturing or teaching him a lesson? Because he needs to learn how to order hoagies. Right?
Yeah,
That's all.
Order your goddamn hoagies right next time.
Stop fucking up. Come on.
I was a victim of society and circumstance. That's what happened to me. God damn it.
But no, Byrne, thank you for the question. I do like it. I think we would all love to see the microtransaction and DLC bullshit go away, but honestly, it never will, because it's not something that you can still play the game without paying for it. Of course, it's just feeding on addictions. So, yeah, we're not going to see that go anywhere.
And I can't portray my libertarian bullshit and say I want more regulation. No. Don't make me do it.
Jim, you're just libertarian just because it's so middle of the fence like everything else with you. You're like, half in, half out. Meh.
Simple man. Simple man with simple needs. Let people do what they want. Don't stake my money. Simple man. Simple request.
Bastard. Well, thank you, Burned. Cheers. Yep. And make sure everyone listening, get those questions in each and every week. We love them, especially the more random, the more better. And Dan can listen and answer along and be like, God damn it.
Yeah. Like last time you get, what's the best comedy movie? And I'm like, oh shit, I'm in on this. And the answer is Young Frankenstein. We had this conversation.
we did.
That I can answer.
Dan, do the impression, get canceled.
Do it.
I'm putting on the Ritz.
Yep.
Yeah. Jim, you started off the song.
There's a soundbite, and when I go to cancel him and turn on him, goddamn ableist.
Just quoting a movie. Right? We said you can quote things and not get in trouble. Didn't we have that conversation over the weekend?
Yeah, come on. That is why nothing will ever be recorded over weekends. That's all. So cheers, Patreon. Thank you for the questions.
Yep. All right. Well, do we just jump into it? The main event? Or do we soft start and just talk real quick Crazy Taxi? The one little bit of news for the week.
Let's bang that one out. That seems to be the hottest topic for
today.
For gaming.
Breaking news.
Yeah. Oh wait, actually boys, we all fucked up. Because technically we are recording on the 1st. Yesterday, when you're watching this, was the 4th. So, cheers to independence.
Oh, yeah.
A few Brits. And
America
make
keeps
sure you're
winning.
drinking. All right. But yeah, Crazy Taxi. We talked about this last week, Jim. Or no, I'm sorry. When was the Sega announcement with all those games? So,
I mean, they announced they're bringing back, what do you call it, IPs like months ago, but they've slowly been trickling out, more info. And as of today, there was news articles all over the place about Crazy Taxi, and that it will apparently be an open-world, massively multiplayer AAA game, according to Sega. This is also coming a day after they reported a quarterly loss of $41 million, so they're doing good.
So, Dan, when we were talking to you before this, you quoted the best thing you could, which is, I didn't even know they were still doing Crazy Taxi. Like, that was still a thing. And as we mentioned with the Sega announcements, they're trying like hell, bring back IPs. They're doing some goofy shit with Streets of Rage. I don't know why they're designing it the way they did after 4's success. But the big news here is they're going to make it a multiplayer game, and we talked about that before. But from the trailer, what I saw was, I guess you're competing against other drivers for customers, but then it looks like at least one person can be like a cop and chase you down, almost like a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit or something. The core mechanic and the goofiness of those games is what makes it fun. I think as long as you keep that intact, it could work. I don't know. Like I could also see it being a complete shit show. So I don't know. What are your guys' take?
I'll go first. I'm kind of excited at the prospect. Like, me being the Twitter guy, I saw just
Jim, do me a favor. Shut the fuck up. I actually want to hear what Dan says.
Well, great.
Damn it.
It's like we're already reviewing too many games.
Well, I don't really know. Like, I never really played too much Crazy Taxi, like, back in the day. Like, I did a little bit. But then, like I said this to you before, guys. Like, then I played Grand Theft Auto 3. And I was like, oh, well, this is in Grand Theft Auto 3. So, bye-bye Crazy Taxi. We don't really need it anymore. So, that's why I was saying to you, I'm really surprised that this is still around. Because I don't think we really need it. But if they're doing some unique thing with the multiplayer, then maybe it'll work. But I don't know. It's just I didn't know that there was a demand for Crazy Taxi, so I'm indifferent, I guess, is where I'm at.
Go on, Jim.
I'm an old fuck. All I care about is Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. What are you coming out with me the Crazy Taxi for? I don't know what I'm doing.
Dan lives the gimmick.
I live in the 90s. It's all I do. It's all we listened to on the weekend was 90s music. Did we not just listen? We listened to 90s dance.
We did.
We listened to 90s rap.
We listened to Chris Cornell trap dance beat music.
Okay, that was late 2000s. That's right. That's right.
I love how
speaking of
Dan's sitting
90s.
there like, what, you never heard the Chris Cornell dance music? Like, no,
Yeah.
Dan, no one knows this exists.
With Timbaland? I'm like, what the fuck? But speaking of 90s music, here's the thing. They better fucking pull out All I Want from Offspring. If they don't have that in there, like, you already failed the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like,
the
tons of ports don't have it because of licensing, so don't cheap out, you fucks.
Yeah.
No, but, like, I think as an idea, it's cool. Like, does anyone just want, like, obviously we all kind of want old Crazy Taxi, like, as a mode in a game. But it's like they're not going to spend all this time to revive an IP just to make the same game they made 20 years ago again, too. Like, I think if it works, it could be a really cool idea. It would probably be an absolute shit show. But it could be just, like, that fun kind of controlled chaos if they do it right. Just, you know, an open world of people, like an MMO of people just trying to do the Crazy Taxi thing with, you know, this giant world with tricks and plenty and all this other bullcrap. Could be cool. Make special events in there and stuff. Like, I know a lot of people going back to the whole AAA industry thing were immediately just like, oh, AAA, massively online, I'm out. Like, you know, I'm sick of it. But, like, I get that mindset, but I don't know. I just think Crazy Taxi might be the right IP for something like that.
Dan, I know you don't play modern games, but can you get it? And then we can team up on Jim.
Well, if it's teaming up against Jim, of course.
Why do I have negative money? What the fuck?
Stop stealing my customers, God damn it.
Why is my car lower to the ground than everyone else's? I didn't even design it that way.
Yeah, I really, you know what? Even though Sega, they're a bit of a shit show with their how they've been trying to handle their stuff. I actually want this to be good. I want it to be successful, but I also want it to be dirt cheap or free on like Game Pass or PlayStation Network, just so I can try it out and see. So, did they say when it's expected?
Not that I saw yet.
Is there a chance you think this just never comes out and there's too much bullshit?
I mean, if they start developing it and go, oh, we don't know what we're doing, you know, Sega going to pull a modern day Sega, then yes, I think there's a very good chance of that happening. Right. I mean, I'm a Sega fan, but even I'm a realist. And my faith in Sega for anything not made by Atlas is about negative.
I mean, some could say we have the biggest Sega defender on the planet here.
Are we doing this?
Oh God, the spotlight again. What are you doing to me?
He's like, damn it, no.
It's
I'm
a
not
show.
drunk
It's
enough
fake.
for this. All right, boys. Let's talk about what we're here for. Let's talk about Too Many Games. Dan cracking open a ceremony. So
Let's
here's
hit the
deal.
Hams. Hams is being hit now.
There we
It's
go.
about time, Chambers.
We salute you, Final Hams.
Served as well.
Yo, it actually it's a contender. It's usually Coors for us, but that's a contender for.
Hangover
for
was not
beer
too
for
bad
the
yesterday with all the hams we drank. So.
No, not at all. So yeah, I think all of us together, have we all ever stayed 2 nights in a row?
All of us together, no. Like, I know MagFest,
Yeah,
did Dan stay at this MagFest?
I had a separate room, but
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, first Too Many Games, 2 nights. We booked this shit in January or February. We knew we were gonna do this. We all needed it for sanity's sake. And you know, we got there. What time did we get there?
2 or 3 o'clock, something like that.
A little before
Somewhere
3
in-
because we had to drink in
That's
the
right.
car
Yeah. So we get up to the hotel, and I've never seen a hotel just be like, yep, 0 rooms are clean before 3 o'clock. Like, I get it. If we got there by 11 or 12, and I know that's the policy, but I can safely say I've never gone to a hotel and just be, like, turned away.
Well,
when it's friggin' 2 something.
Right, which is funny because we stayed there for 2.5 days, and our room never got cleaned. So that's a damnedest excuse.
So, like, you know, we get there and we're like, whatever. Luckily, I threw some ice packs in a cooler. So, yeah, Dan pulled up, like, literally right as we got there. So, like he said, we already started drinking some road sodas in the car. Got up to the room, had a full-size fridge, which was nice. Had 2 big boy chairs, 1 little boy chair.
You can tell by how we were talking to Jim earlier which one of us sat in the little boy chair.
You know, I get that hotels have to come with the cuck chair, but does it have to be so much shorter than the other chairs that you have? Like, it had a little bar stool area, basically. Like, it had, like, an L-shaped countertop for the kitchen area. So it's like, oh, this is cool. We can all sit around and drink. And then it's like, oh, wait, only 2 of the chairs are sized appropriately.
Just yeah, to Jim's point, and if one of my pictures does line up how I think it does, I think I have a picture of him in a little chair holding his beers. Like, his arms have to go up here to hold the shit.
I looked like a toddler, just hanging out with the adults the entire time. Even worse, eating food and hoagies at that time, just trying to eat it like this, because I had, like, no space to do anything.
Yeah, you had to stand up at one point. You're like, I can't do this sitting down.
Yeah. I would have basically choked. Gravity was not on my side.
But I feel like it's like every convention, it's the same thing. I think we all kind of like, should we take it a little easy starting this time? And then the beers start, and inevitably it's like, all right, well, let's put on some music. All right, well, let's start playing games. And our go-to game is always Fuck the Dealer. Every time. And I think we were trying to get to the convention, I wouldn't say early, but we were like, let's get there kind of reasonable. And we've all explained the rules of Fuck the Dealer here many times, but it got to the point where it's like, all right, we should probably lower the time on Fuck the Dealer. And this was the first time that I started getting fucked, and Jim's like, of course, when we lower the time, this is when Brian's getting... So Jim's getting furious about that. But still, you somehow ended up losing the majority of games, Jim. And I don't know how it happens every time.
I lost all the games on Friday, and then about half of them on Saturday. It's luck of the draw.
Well, your luck got better on Saturday because of a certain system that you started following, Jim. I believe it was called the 5-10 system that we set up.
Son of a bitch, Dan. He's just sitting there, and for some reason at one point he just starts going 5. We're like, all right, higher. He goes 10, and I think it worked one time, and he was like, well, I know what I'm calling out the rest of the time. And when you play it early enough, it doesn't matter. So the deck's just being passed around to people. But when it gets late in the game and you're stuck with the deck and assholes over here just going 5-10, even when half of them are already done, you're just like, pick something else.
Yeah, there'll be no 7s, no 8s on the table. He's like, no, it's part of the system. You weed it out. And the worst part, the soul-crushing part, is when it's me or Jim as the dealer, and Dan's up, and you look down, and there's a 5, and you go... And you have to flip that over.
Because you so badly just don't want to give it to him at this point. For so many turns, we just looked at him and went, just drink, Dan. Because it wasn't a 5 or a 10. We weren't even wasting our time anymore.
How dare you disrespect the system by not giving it its due. The amount of times I hit was incredible. I only lost 1 game of Fuck the Dealer because of the 5-10 rule. It is my religion. I'm going to write a book about it. And you're going to be my first 5-star review on that book because it helped you get out of a few jams in that game, sir. So how dare you?
It is true. I can't argue results. I guess that's for damn sure.
The number of times you yelled at Jim when Jim ended up with a 5 or a 10, and it would make me laugh so hard when I would see a 5 or 10, and I knew Jim wasn't going to do it, and it would make you furious.
If you've ever watched Dan's videos, and you hear Dan in his videos going,
Jim, he's like,
what are you doing? And like,
he's like 5 and 10, Jim. Come on, you know what, Dan? I think we need to record like the old style, like you want to become a millionaire quick, and do it in that shitty way, and you just express the 510
The 510 system. Yes.
We need to get you a really cheesy suit.
Oh,
and
yeah. Big suit that does not fit. Way too big for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm down with it. If I can promote the 510 to make everybody's lives better, I'm down for it.
We basically started recording infomercials because I'd be sitting there going, my life was a mess. And then I discovered the 510 system. And now I own 4 boats. Thank you, Dan, for your system.
But Dan, for the ultimate selling point, Jim is like in the black and white, like, oh man, this is this guy before the 510 system. And then you cut to me and it's the after of the 510 system.
Can't even just clean me up. You just have to replace me completely.
That would make it funnier, Jim. Come on. It's for the bit. Like, are you tired of sitting in little chairs? Are you tired of, shaking hands? What do you want out of life?
You want to feel like a winner at a party? Well, you need to win the drinking game. And there's only one way to do that, and that's bet on 5 and then 10. It wins every time. Not really, but sometimes. You'll be a winner.
Yeah, and that first night, I mean, I forget. We started that pyramid got pretty full pretty quick because I think did we finish off all the coolers before we went out on Friday?
Yeah. The first night.
So that was right there. 18 beers there, along with
there was
6 hams.
Yeah, there was a base layer of ham, and then the core was on top, and then the ham on top. It was a very sound structure. Remember, I was an engineering major for 1 year. Helped out.
Remember how my time Jim fucked it up? God.
I can only sit in the chair for so long.
I think we all knocked it over at one point. We didn't even like touch it. We just like stepped too hard on the floor, and then we just knocked the whole thing down.
Boom.
We all did the rebuilding. Oh, it's okay. I got it. Don't worry.
Well, if you remember how Jim knocked it down, he was tired of sitting in a chair and slapped it over, and then it fell, and the whole thing shook.
You're like, fix it, Jim. And I was like, no, I will not fix this damn pyramid. I am taking a stand for the little shred of dignity I have left.
We went through all that beer. We went through, I don't even know. How many goddamn liquid IVs do you think we went through? I mean, Dan, you spilled half of yours on the goddamn table. So they probably thought, what are these guys taking rails of? Because there's just liquid IV all over.
There's just powder everywhere.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, that hotel room, that was nice. But yeah, first night, I remember the only thing I don't know if we've ever actually fully gone to a panel and sat through it. And I wanted to see the Resident Evil one, but by the time we started drinking, we're like, all right, well, we're not making it to that. And so Friday night, I don't think we had I know you wanted to see Steve Blum. Is that his name?
Steve Bloom, yeah, the voice actor of Spike Spiegel. I don't know why I did Jesus a Metal Gear voice, but okay.
The line for that dude, oh my God.
Yeah, line was ridiculous. And then, like, when I finally went on the line, the guy's like, it's too late, you can't go on. I was like, oh, shit. All right.
I mean, it was like 9 o'clock on Friday, and he's like, we closed this down like a half hour ago. And you're like,
there were still people online. All right, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Not gonna argue.
Yeah, we got down there around like what, 6ish, you want to say 6:30?
Yeah, for the ice cold beer tournament.
Yes.
Yep. Which our buddy Rob, of course, congrats. He wins a pro tournament and it's not even close. Like there's a guy in second, but it's not even even fair. How bad he beats other folks.
And the poor guy just like gets almost like, he's obviously a showman and he's like just super nice and helpful anyway. So as people are going, he's trying to give them like his strategy to do it. But this man's hands are surgical. Like his powers are being wasted on this goddamn game. He should be saving lives right now because like just the level of cool and just like effortlessness it is for him, where we're all just like get up down. Ah, fuck! I fucked it up.
Yeah, as he was casually showing me it, he's like, "Yeah, this might get messed up." I think he missed like one ball. He still got to the top, and that like still blew out the second dude's score by a crazy amount because he was taking his time showing me all this stuff, and it was just like Jesus Christ. And you hear him tell you about it, and you go, "Oh, I get it in theory," and then you try it, and you're like, "Yeah, no, I can't do this at all." But that game is. I wish there was a closer place other than Jersey City. Is it Jersey City that the machine's in? Because there's one he goes to at a bar or an arcade in Jersey. I just forget where. He told us. But
I know there's one in Somerville, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, I've definitely played it there. There used to be one near me, but they don't have that anymore. They got rid of it. That barcade got shut down actually.
Ah,
Yeah,
maybe
so
that's the
where
one
I
was
discovered
thinking
it.
of. Yeah.
I don't know.
And none of them like quality wise are as like smooth as the one. What's the guy's name? I never remember. We've seen him
Buffet.
a few times. Yeah, Buffet. That's right. How do I forget
Yep.
that? But yeah, I mean, he
Yeah.
takes immaculate care of this machine, and it's just smooth as butter every time. But yeah, even with all that help, we all still like look like children playing this, and Rob just goes up there, doop doop doop, win.
But I love we have a very very specific system when we get to the convention. Go right to the bar, get at least usually we start off with 2. At least Friday night we did. We're like, all right, just let's not fuck around. Let's get 2. Yeah, head over, see our buddy Rob, do that, and then I kind of started to forget what the hell we did after ice cold beer.
After that, we took, I think, the only round of shots of Jameson that night, which was a mistake, but it seemed fun at the time.
No, we
And
did that a
then-
little later actually, because we had started to meet up with like Jimmy and his buddy Josh, and then Petey and Blade Blur. We were like starting to meet up with everyone and walking the floor, doing the circle laps basically for a little bit.
Oh, because I thought like after Ice Cold Beer, we kind of stopped by the Angry Video Game Nerd thing because they were showing the movie.
We did do that too, but I think we did the shots after we watched a bit of the movie, if I remember right.
Did we? Huh. See, I thought we went right from that to the Hilton. So I think we did the shots before. You know what? Maybe you're right, because I remember feeling a lot more drunk when we decided to stop by certain vendors as we were trying to leave. So, like
Yeah,
cosplay dancing.
Yeah, we still son of a
But yeah, the shots. Oh man, you chose Jameson. I remember thinking like, this is a terrible idea, because we try our best to not do a ton of shots. We somehow always end up doing it, and then later on that night, Rob's girlfriend Danielle, awesome, but I got a lot of frozen amaretto and some moonshine that I was just like, I don't know what any of this is. Meanwhile, Jim's scarfing down hot dogs. I'm like, I didn't get any yum yums. Son of a bitch.
Well, that was the after party, yeah. But so yeah, we're circling around there. We watched a bit of the AVGN movie. We're like, all right, hopefully we see him after or something like that. Then we were circling around the thing more. I think we met with a couple more people, and then eventually went to the after party. We were like, all right, we're not going to bother buying anything tonight because, one, we're already too drunk, and we're just going to forget everything anyway and not carry shit around.
We tried to find Michelle's sister's stand, and we're like, where is it? And couldn't find shit anywhere.
It's literally
I'm
just
not
like
gonna
in
say
the
it
middle of
wasn't
the
all
one
the
side.
drinking. Yeah.
It wasn't hard to find either. We were just like, where's this thing at?
Yeah. But yeah, then we headed over to Hilton. Always a great time there. Obviously, a lot more drinking ensued, I feel like, once we got there. Yeah, and that night, that was when the VIP section was open. But this time, there wasn't much going on. It was more just kind of a chill, seated area. Jim got his hot dogs, and weren't they selling, like, random-ass, like, chili or something?
Yeah, it was like 4 vats of like boiled hot dogs and then like 1 vat of like cold chili by the time we got there. And I'm so drunk, we're just like, I don't care, I need chili dogs. And I'm just like scarfing down, just looking like as slovenly as possible.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously that night we did get to hang with our buddy Jimmy. We hung with Blade Blur. We hung with we actually did hang with AVGN for a little bit. And
Yeah, like
'cause it
you're
wasn't
you're
till
inside talking to some people and drinking. Like I was outside and met up with like Mint and Riley and Tony from Geek Getaway for a little while. And then we're just all making the rounds. Like we almost like split up and we're just talking to different people. I think Dan was drunkenly mumbling to RGT 85 for a little bit.
Yeah, we
Yes,
had
he was,
conversations. Yeah, I got a picture with him. Like neither of us remember taking that picture. And Rob just posted a bunch of pictures on Facebook, and I'm like, I don't remember that. There's a picture of me and with oh my god, what the fuck? The Angry Video Game Nerd, Billy. I was trying to remember his last name. I was like, was it Rolf? Oh yeah, that's it. My brain's not working. I'm still like feeling the effects of the weekend. So yeah, there's a picture of me talking with like them, and I'm like, oh my god, what was I saying? Because like I'm like really animated in the picture that Rob posted. So I was like, oh my god, I hope I didn't say anything too stupid, which I probably did because that's what I do.
No, I said by the end of the night, you hadn't fallen, but you were starting to get the fatality legs, as I like to call them.
Oh yeah.
Where you're doing the swerving. So no, we held it together pretty decently.
Dan's all wobbly going down the hallway. We were basically at the far ass end of the entire thing. And the whole time it's like, 2 a.m. He's like, how long is this goddamn hallway? Like just screaming it the entire time. Dan, shut the fuck up.
But Dan, to your point, I think we called it kind of early-ish for us. I think it was like 12:40-ish. We're like, all right, let's get an Uber back. Dan and I, even though we're really drunk, really responsibly kept our cards. One of us didn't.
And none of us thought we left it at the bar except for Jim. It was only Jim, not me, not at all. I knew I had it.
Let's say first off, I wasn't even trusted with a key card to the room. We were given 2 cards, and they were like, all right, Jim is not getting a card. I was like, God damn, all right, that's probably a good idea.
Jim, let's back up. And you proved the lack of trust because we gave you one job after we left the convention. Jim, put in your phone how to walk to the Hilton, which is not very far away. It's a 15-minute walk tops. So we're following him. He's like, okay. We start walking past this industrial park, start going down the highway, and I'm like, there's nothing down here. Jim, let me see your phone. The arrow actually points you in the fucking direction you're going, and we're just going the wrong. I was like, God damn it. And we turn around. As soon as you turn around, you can see the Hilton in the distance, and it's little like triangles. So like, this is why. This is why you don't get a key card, why you sit in a midget chair. This is why these things happen, Jim. You son of a bitch.
Yeah, we did basically wind up in like a loading dock for like some place surrounding the convention center. And you're like, Jim, where the fuck are we? I was like, it says it's right here.
I guess it's, you know what, that one, Dan, you and I think gotta take responsibility. We shouldn't have put that responsibility on Jim.
No, it's too much.
Yeah, you knew better. I'm the victim here.
Don't you dare. Me and Dan are the victims. We've established. And I will say, where it was that same night, didn't we saw the crazy taxi thing and like opened the doors? Like I remember I was going to get inside, but yeah, it was I remember we were quite drunk when we found it.
Oh yeah, that guy who like specifically made like the crazy taxi. Yeah, you were just like opening the door and about to hop in. It's just like, I think we should be doing this.
Or should we have? I'm just saying.
Probably should have.
Yeah.
Definitely should have.
But yeah, so that night we said, let's go back early. We, not very smart. We had some like chips and shit, but I remember we went to bed pretty early and my bunkmate decided to change in the middle of the night. I still don't know how the fuck that happened.
So
I don't know
basically, since Brian, Dan, I think you know why that happened. So I do what I always do, and I go to take a shit. So we're like, all right, me and Brian have known each other for the longer, we'll share the bed. Dan had a bed all to himself. So I do what I always do, and I fall asleep on the toilet. So it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm trying to get back to bed, and I'm like putting my hand because it's dark to see what's going on, and all of a sudden it's very lumpy on my side of the bed, and I'm just like, what the fuck's going on here? So I turn the camera on, and I'm like, why is Dan in the bed now? I guess Dan's a little bit of a cuddler. I don't know. He felt a little lonely.
Some would say it's irresistible, Jim.
He couldn't resist your siren's call, Brian.
I mean, I said what was really weird is I remember at one point thinking, Jim's really quiet. Dan's snoring like a motherfucker tonight, and he usually doesn't snore. Like, this is weird, because I slept on my right side, so you sleep ass to ass with the person you're going to sleep next to.
Well, that's what you intended, until Dan started cuddling.
And then I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, Dan's really snoring tonight. Like, that's not normal. And, yeah, I wake up, and I'm like, man, Jim, did you get a tan? What the fuck's going on here? Like, what the fuck? And, yeah. Just swapping spots. But yeah, the next morning, it's funny. We all did a dad thing. Woke up at 8, and of course, like assholes, instead of just going back to sleep, we're all kind of like, we're up. We're all feeling like shit. You two, the amount of just we heard, and it didn't stop till like, I don't even know what time. It actually just didn't stop until like we probably got to the thing. I woke up, I'm like, you know what? I don't feel too bad. I got a little bit of a headache. And then I started moving around. I'm like, I think I might throw up. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm good. And then like a half hour went by. I downed a whole water with some liquid IV. I was like, you know what? I'm good. Moved around a little bit more, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm not good. Like, this thing just came right back. And there's a very odd sensation about throwing up cold water. Like, because that's all that came up. It was just the liquid IV and the water. So it wasn't like that painful, like, oh my God, this hurts. It was just like, well, that was a thing. And then afterwards, I was done, and Dan's like, why do you have so much energy? What the fuck?
Yeah, Dan was hurting the worst out of all of us. I wasn't in great shape, but Dan was like doubled over on the bed, basically. So we go out, we get breakfast, and we decide to go get snacks and shit like that. And that's where my half-hour fucking hoagies took it, goddamn Wawa. Well, at first, Dan's like, I'm going to go to this vegan place. You guys want anything? And me and Bri are just like, no. No.
We're like, we'll pick up the food for you. We'll find something along the way. But I will give a shout out to Nudies. That was a good breakfast spot. It hit the spot. And Jim and I went there the second night as well. But perfect hangover food. Yeah, they were really cool. And
One bathroom.
Oh, yeah,
One
that
bathroom
was
for the entire restaurant.
But
Terribly
I love
designed there.
The entire ride driving over there, every bump, Dan's in the back, just just like, what the fuck?
Like, why the fuck did they make this road so bumpy? What the fuck?
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck?
Meanwhile, there's like no potholes at all. We just like touched a pebble. Dan's like, ah!
Yeah. But I love, but by the way, I did love the orders. You go to that vegan restaurant, you get 2 full-size ass platters, and then as soon as you get them, you're like, I should have went with barbecue. There was a barbecue section, and they didn't. And Jim he gets 2 entrees. He's like, I'm gonna get 2 hoagies. I don't even know what they are, but it's the hot honey and the Kelsey. Meh. And we had to wait there, an extra 10, 15 minutes just for your goddamn hoagies?
It took goddamn forever. It was just 2 hoagies. It shouldn't have taken anything. Banana peppers and tomato. That's the secret recipe. And that apparently was too goddamn complicated.
But, dude, those first beers, when we got back to the room, we were all struggling on those first beers. We were like, oh, this is...
Actually, the first sip wasn't too bad. I remember just going, okay. I'm not like, my body isn't like rejecting it like I thought it would right away. So it did take a little longer for the first beer, obviously, but it wasn't pure poison. So I'll say that about the hams, because we were on the hams by that point.
I feel like, did we only do like maybe 2 or 3 beers? Like, it was a very small amount of beers at first, I feel like, because we put some in and we're like, I think there's enough in here, and we left some out. We're like, I don't even know if we need to hit up all these.
Well, yeah, you know what? We did a couple beers before we went over to the convention again.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, I feel like we were like, you know what? Let's take it a little bit easier because we're all still hurting. We went to the convention. I know it was earlier, but what time was that?
1?
That one was...
No.
Because you wanted to see
like
Nimrod.
4 and 5.
It was... Yeah, because what time...
Oh, yeah,
you wanted to see Nimrod, and...
They were playing at 5:30.
I remember
Nimrod.
5:30. So, yeah, so we got there, but this time we're like, you know what? We're going to hit up the booths. We saw Michelle's sister's booth. We hit up a lot other, like, we did a lot more walking around that time. We saw Nimrod, which they did great. That lead singer was awesome. And then we
sounds
walked
just
around
like
for a
Philly
little
Joe.
bit. And then what did we do? Did we end up, after we walked around for a little bit, then we went and saw Redbox for a tiny bit?
Yeah, Vinny Vinesauce's band.
Yeah, and then we're like, all right, well, how about we head back, drink some more beers?
I just gotta say, that's the power of having a YouTube following, because basically you could have just thrown a tarp down with every woman in that thing just looking up at stage. Like, anytime a song came on that they knew from his page, it was just like you saw that gleam in their eyes.
The gleam in their eyes, the hand on their heart, like, oh my, it's that song. It's this song.
It's that one,
oh,
yeah.
Vinny. Oh, Vinny. That's all I saw.
Yeah, and I would say the night took a turn once we went back. Like, we get some more food, and then we were like, how much of the ham should we go through? We threw the rest in a freezer. Maybe we'll take it easy. And we went fuck the dealer, and this is where Jim just kept losing. But then we decided to really turn it up with, what is it called, Dan? Upriver, downriver?
Yeah, up the river, down the river. And it's a much worse game for drinking, because we're still playing with sort of the easy rules with fuck the dealer. Just drink 1 if you get it right, or drink 1 if they get it right. So, but with up the river, down the river. We went full blown rules. So you drink a lot during this, and I guess I'll just cut to the ending of the game where there's essentially each person has 4 cards, and then there's 2 cards left that you have to turn over. And the first card that turns over, if your card matches
wait, before you even hit that, remember right before with the 8-second rule is where the real fuckery with Jim started.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Because we both... So it's essentially like a give pile and a take pile, right? So you give, you take, and then Brian and I both hit the give pile. It was give 8. So we're like, what are we going to do with this? I think we know what we're going to do with this. Hey, Jim, here you go. Here's your beer, buddy.
16 seconds.
So he's like, certainly can't get any worse than this. Just wait, folks. Here we go. So the next round is if your card matches it, you get to give out half a beer. The card turns over. It's a queen. I have 2 queens. I decide, why not have both halves, Jim? Here you go, buddy. But there's one more card left, and that's the take card. And if you get that, you have to take a full beer. And it flips over. And who has cards that match it? Of course, it's Jim.
No. It's better. Because
no,
it flipped over, and it was a card that no one had.
Oh.
So there's that
next
extra bit
card
of tension.
nobody had. So we're all sitting there like, fuck. And the third card.
Meanwhile, I'm still trying to get through the 16 seconds, much less like the full beer that I had to drink the first time. I'm like, please God, no. I've suffered enough.
But keep in mind, I think when we got back to the hotel, between being angry at Jim about the hoagies, the fact he slowed down the night before, and he takes his 10-hour shits, we're like, he's not even drinking. What the fuck? So it was
one more
retribution.
thing. Life without a bidet for those 2 days. Caveman days. Awful.
It's pretty rough.
You install a bidet, that cuts down on my shits by half, because half the time it's just cleanup. When you poop like I do, you need your bidet.
And we should mention, like, in this hotel room, it's one of the rare instances where there was a breaker box in there that controlled everything. So as soon as, like, one of us would go in the shower, we're, like, switching the lights off. And you're like, God damn it. I'm trying to But, like, there was also this really bad, I think the plumbing was just awful, or it was someone's door, that when we heard Jim going to the shower, there was, like, a couple minutes, and we heard just the loudest goddamn thud in the world. And Dan and I are sitting there, we're like, did he fall? And we just had this image of Jim, like, upside down, ass in the air, like, help me.
Kind of like when Homer Simpson got accused of sexual harassment and was naked on the shower floor. That's exactly Jim.
That's
the source of my power.
I'm actually posting that GIF if there is one.
That isn't that far off from what Dan had to see the time he roomed with me with just me and him at Too Many Games a couple years ago. So. This was like the 3rd time we ever hung out, by the way. And he just comes in one night, and I'm just basically half naked on the floor, hugging the toilet. And he's like, "Oh, I guess I'm pissing in the tub." So I'm a man of first impressions. That's what I'm trying to say.
So needless to say, I'm still convinced that's where that hams came from. I think you just stashed the one that you were supposed to drink, and that's because I don't know how you had a hams otherwise. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know either.
But yeah, so as you can tell, our goal of going a little slower got completely fucked. And then we're like, all right, we're going to head over to Hilton. It'll be great. And just for reference, like every time we've ever gone to the Hilton, it's just like you kind of walk in, there's a bar area, you can hang there, and then the real kind of like there's a VIP like after section, which we've been lucky enough with our friends Jimmy and Adam and some of them who have allowed us to come back there. And this year we just walk into the hotel and there's a guard sitting there, and he stops us. He's like, "Oh, you need like a special lanyard." And just for reference, so like we all have these like 3-day pass things. Try to show that. He's like, "No, a special one." We're like, okay. As we're waiting there, some other people, our boy Bird comes in, and he's got like,
Bird and Trixie and Manny Muskets. Bird worked the event, so like he worked it. We're like, well, there's no way he's not getting in there, and he's getting turned away. And he's like, "What? How do I even have this special one? I worked the event." And the guy's like, "No, you cannot come in."
So all of a sudden we're like, okay, well, there's a little side area that you're like, you can just hang out with, like, right outside a side entrance where the bar is.
Yeah, it's a
like,
patio,
we'll hang
yeah.
there. We'll see what happens. There are some people in there. And we're like, when the door opens, we'll just, like, we'll sneak in and just try and lay low. But the amount of people that started coming over to that area, because every fucking person's being turned away because everyone had the same idea as us. Eventually, we finally get in there. We all do the same thing, by the way. Dan gets in first. He goes right to the bathroom. When Jim and I go in there, we go right to the bathroom. And then we're like, all right, let's chill by this back table area.
Let's hide in the back for a little while.
Yeah. Let's keep it low key, drink some beers. But like the people that they were turning away left and right was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, we couldn't figure out who
People,
hired
including
security.
the angry video game nerd at the Screenwave event. Like, we're like, oh, AVGN's over here. And he's, like, arguing with the guy, and he just throws his hands up, like, what the fuck, and just, like, walks out. We're like, did James just get turned away?
Yeah. So just complete shit show. By the end, it did all work out. I felt like the guy just kept trying to turn people away, and everyone just kept doing what we did. They just came in the side entrance at some point. And then eventually, I think some of the people who, I guess, helped run the event or just had the right passes were allowed getting people in. And that night was great because we got to see Adam. We got to see Brad. We got to see a lot of the folks that just came down for Saturday night. And that one, I think... we
met, like, what do you call it? James's friend, Novel. He was super cool. Ray, Glimmering Harpy, we were hanging out with her all night. She's a total sweetheart. Like, I was talking to... Yep, I was talking to, like, Jab Yen for a little while, who had a tweet that exploded on Twitter and made it Kotaku because of the Guy game. And he just went, why the fuck is this $250? And that just started all this discourse about this, like, just surrounding this game. Like, people were blaming him for just, like, promoting it. He's like, I'm just commenting on this fucking game. What the hell? Why did I start discourse?
I love his second tweet. He's like, no, shut up. I did not buy the game. But, like, it got, like, 72 million views. It got onto Kotaku, and I was like, I didn't understand what the issue... Dan, do you know about the Guy game? Because I sure as shit didn't.
Like the old PlayStation 2 Guy game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like essentially like kind of like a Girls Gone Wild type of thing, kind of.
Yeah, the problem with it is like, it's basically it's a shitty trivia game, and the prize is, you know, girls taking their tops off,
right.
Like Girls Gone Wild. The problem is one of the girls turned out to be 17.
Oh.
So now it's, you know, illegal to buy, own, or sell the game for good reason. And it's so one, there's an uproar about like, why is this being sold at the convention? And then there's all the discourse around it, people thinking that he's promoting it. And this poor fucking guy just came off like a 30-hour trip of being fucked over on flights trying to get here because he came from the West Coast. So he's already like exhausted, he's tired, and he's getting shit on by all of Twitter just for posting a picture.
Yeah. Well, like, as we said, I did. I felt bad because everyone's like, oh, you're sicko. Why would you buy that? He's like, I didn't fucking buy it. I just pointed it out. But yeah, no,
I love this tweet later on where he's like, every time I tweet at this event, something happens, and it's like he took the picture of when Chris Chan had like the epic meltdown a couple years ago and got kicked out of the convention, to the point where like Justin Silverman's like, stop tweeting about the goddamn event.
What is? Wait, why do I know that name, Chris Chan?
Chris Chan, the most documented person in the history of the internet.
Jim, that's
raped his mom.
For the
raped
little
his mom.
bubble.
She's trans now, but she raped her elderly mother with dementia. Went to jail for a little while, among a lot of other things.
I think Jab safely should stop tweeting stuff because it seems to be
he's cursed.
He's getting associated with the wrong things. But yeah, no, I did speak with him as well. Yeah, and that night, like I said, it's funny. I feel like we definitely went harder at the bar that night because we stayed till they closed. Basically, it was 2:00. But yeah, no. As you pointed out, it was really cool just seeing Brad, Adam, Rhea, just everyone who showed up. But that night, there was no hot dogs for you, Jim.
Nope.
You did have your half a hoagie back at the house.
Thank God. And trail mix.
And we didn't do any shots that night, right? I'm trying to remember.
No, we specifically said we were not doing drinks that night.
Yeah. No, but that like I said, that night was cool. We may have, or I'll just say, somebody might have got a hold of our stickers and left them in certain places. I'll just say that.
Well, Brian, way to get his band now.
Chip, we're not Dan. We won't get recognized anywhere. This motherfucker gets recognized
Touché.
all over the place.
Dan finally had people recognize him who wanted to get his picture. He doesn't. It
Come
wasn't
on,
repeat
Dan.
at MagFest.
You got to meet your fans that night. Come on.
I got to meet a few fans, maybe smoke some weed with some of them. It happens.
Well, Dan goes off with this one guy who's like, he's a fan of the show and stuff. He's like, seemed like a nice guy. Dan comes back and he's just, whoosh, like, he's just like, yeah, for like the rest of the night, basically. And I love it. I love Dan's just like, he's in his zone and like, we'll be talking and hanging out with, like, say, Ray. And he'd be like, yeah, like, hopefully I can get up there with my band. Like, if the Green Day's there, I should be there too. And she's like, he's like, yeah, like, I can play songs and I'm good looking. I should be up there. And she's like, don't you need talent? And you're like, what the fuck? Like, Dan, you're getting shit on?
I mean, she made one valid point. You got to have the glasses and the hat for Kurt Cobain. Come on.
That's true. That's true. I do have the glasses. Though. So, blah 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 blah.
Dan, do more drugs. Be like Kurt. Like a responsible dad.
No, but it like I said, that was an awesome night, and I think we all woke up shocked how okay we all were on Sunday. We're like, I think we're good. Like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah, we weren't dead. Like, Dan had to drive home for like a family party, and he's just like, yeah, I think I can actually make it. I think I'm good.
Yeah, we went back to Nudies and hit the road, and yeah, that's what I was saying to Dan. I said I got home, I was anticipating like needing a nap and shit, didn't get it, and had to do house shit. Jim kept drinking like a goddamn madman.
I wasn't planning on drinking. Like, at first I was like trying to lay on the couch, and of course the kid's all excited, so she's all over me. She immediately makes me start playing with her dolls with her for like an hour and a half, and I'm just sitting there just like, but
Did she make you sit in a little chair?
No, I was sitting on the floor.
So you were lower than everybody. That's
Yeah.
the main important
Yeah.
part.
It was the gimmick of the weekend. Yes, I had to keep it up. But then it was like a little bit, then like some yard work, and then like the neighbors came over. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not detoxing anytime soon.
Jeez, man.
And now
How
it's
you doing?
Monday, and we're continuing it.
Yeah, I'm on day 4 or 5 in a row. That's healthy.
And the day before 4th of July, you can't not. So you basically have Tuesday to not drink, Jim.
well, Liver, we're doing this again. Don't fail me now.
But yeah, like I said,
See, I just felt bad that Dan's the only person of color in our group, so I'm just trying to turn a little yellow so I can fit in with him more.
God damn it, Jim. So Dan, what's your final analysis? How this compare to the other Too Many Games, or even just cons we've gone to?
I mean, it was really fun. 2 nights in a row. It's I don't know if I've ever done Too Many Games 2 nights in a row, so that was a little unique from that perspective. But like, I think we did it right, boys. We didn't get too sloppy. I've been too sloppy at Too Many Games, and certain tables have been flipped, vases have been knocked over. Didn't reach that point ever. So I had a good time. I got to hang out with a lot of good people, and I didn't make too much of an ass of myself, I hope. So yeah, it was a really good time, and looking forward to listening to that record, I guess, that I got. Fantasy 6.
As you're high as shit, you're like, man.
Yeah. Also, I really liked. You need to mention we played a cool Mega Man game where you were just playing various songs from the Mega Man franchise, and I just had to guess them, and if I guessed it right, then you would drink. If I didn't get it right, then I drank. And that was a really fun game too. I like that one.
Yeah. If you ever want to challenge Dan to knowledge of Mega Man songs, we went through all the games and 6 songs per game, and I would honestly say he's probably correct 75% of the time at least. Like, there was very few misses. Maybe in some of the later games you didn't know him as much, but the early ones, it's just like, fuck.
Oh,
yeah, that was impressive. No, I agree. I'm curious. What do you guys think? Do you think...
Why is every YouTuber so short? Like we're all like 6 foot tall, like all three of us, and we're walking around and like all the big name people we see, they're like, except for like say like Wood Hawker, who's like probably like 6'3" or something like that. Like everyone was like maybe 5'8" tops. We're looking around like we're like giants in these sea of little people. What the hell's going on here?
And yet everyone is shocked how tall we are when they meet us. I don't get it, Jim. I don't know. They all get the midget chairs.
Do we just project shortness? Is what life hands me? Do they just assume I'm constantly in the cuck chair? Do they think I am just a walking cuck chair? Low to the ground? No essence, no aura?
I mean, who's to say, Jim? You give a good handshake.
God damn it.
But so do you think a 2-dayer for Too Many Games is on our books moving forward? Is that the way to go?
I think it has to be. Because one day you're just like, you're left wanting more. But by the end of that second day, because we didn't even go back to the con on the third day, because we all just woke up and collectively went, yeah, I think I had my
Yeah, you definitely don't need 3 days of that shit. That's for sure. I mean, MagFest, of course, 2-day makes sense because it's just a hike to get there.
Yeah, it's a 3.5 hour drive for us minimum. So yeah, we have to make it worth it to go down there.
I feel like that's what we got to figure out. We got to plan for MagFest, Too Many Games, and then we were trying to figure out like when PAX East is, and I feel like we found out, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're like debating PAX and like Long Island Retro Expo because we hear that's a cool one. So we got to do these more often.
Have you been? to
Dan's been
those,
there,
Dan?
I think, right?
No, I haven't. No, I've heard about it because it's in like this cool aviation museum, the Long Island one. So I want to go to it, and maybe I'll go to that one this year. And just a day trip. I won't stay overnight. So hoping. We'll see.
Our buddy Joe, Scarlet Sprites, he's been there a couple times as a guest, and that poor fucking guy, he got destroyed by American Airlines. He was on like a work trip, and he was trying to come back in time, like constantly delayed, lost his bags left and right. Like there was actually like a small glimmer of hope. He's like, all right, if I stay with you guys, I'd like chill with you guys Saturday? And we're like, yeah, of course, come on up. Yeah. And like his bags got fucked over. They made him wait 6 hours. They made him wait 6 hours, American Airlines, for his bag. They were looking for it before they went, we can't find it. And then he just had to leave.
So fucking ridiculous.
Not
By
a
the way,
banner day for
boys,
American.
I mean, Dan, it's actually probably even closer for you, but I'm looking up where the Long Island one is. So it's about like 2 hours for us. Maybe 2.5 hours tops. So for you, it's probably closer. But it's August 9th to 10th. So it's a little over a month for us. So we should decide if we want to hit that one up too.
August 9th and 10th, I actually can't do that. So, Dan, you two.
Acceptable, Jim.
You two, it's on you. Represent us well, Bri. Well, I mean, you always do anyway. I always do that.
I don't know what you're saying, Jim.
I know what I am. I'm a lovable goof.
Well, Dan will decide if that's one to hit up. Yeah, because I feel like everyone we talk to says like that's a really fun one. So it'd be interesting. I'd like to check that out. But yeah.
Yes, like we like to tell people, go to these conventions, and if you see us at any of these, like, come on up and hang out. Like, we're just there to chill with everyone that we see, basically.
Yeah.
And we're already gonna be half in the bag by the time we get there, so we're gonna be extra friendly.
Yeah. Chances are, yeah, one of us will be really drunk, and it is what it is. But no, I think it was a great time as always, boys. We always have a great time when we go these things. Even if we don't do Long Island, we know we have to plan for MagFest at a minimum. But yeah, Dan, any closing words or closing thoughts from you? Anything you want to say?
The 510 system is flawless, and the fact that you two mocked it as much as you did over the weekend, shame on you. Shame on you. That's all I have to say.
Listen, I still support the 7 just for fucks.
That's a good one too. But once 5 or 10 are done, only.
Yeah, then you cut it in. Well, boys, how did even though we're all still trying to detox, how did the Mickeys treat you, Dan?
Oh, fun. I feel fine. I can do a couple more.
So that's a yes. Once it hits your lips, Dan. Once it starts.
Just tastes so good.
Jim, did re-drinking the hams bring back good memories?
I should have just started slowly lowering my chair. There we go. now it's right.
Now it's exactly like the weekend.
It's so nostalgic. My pride.
Yeah,
But I'm just glad I didn't get fall asleep on the toilet and get kicked out like I did at the WATP live show. So there we go. Some people are like, "Oh, that was you."
Yeah, Jim does that.
So that story spread. Yay.
So I started with that Schwarzbier, then I moved on to the Ivrushu Rice Lager from the same place, and then the Memphis Sands. So they're all lagers. They're not that strong, but very tasty. They actually wouldn't have been a horrible selection for us, but no way I'm spending that kind of money when I can spend bare minimum on 30 hams, and they're better than they deserve to be. So I'll say that.
Clinically tested, no hangover when you stick to the hams.
Yeah. But with that, everyone, we want to say thank you guys so much. Dan, thank you for coming on. We always love these recaps. Always a great weekend with you, bud. Make sure,
same.
I know everyone watching already is, but if you're not, go over, subscribe to Console Wars, follow them on Twitter. Make sure you check out all their YouTube live streams, as Dan said earlier. And with that, we want to say thank you guys. If you have been watching this whole time, hit subscribe for us, hit the notification bell. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, hit subscribe. If you give us a 5-star rating and you want to really bash Jim and whatever you want to say, we'll read it in each and every one of
What'd I do?
Hour podcast.
I was a good boy. I was a human boy.
A real human boy. Jim, Jim, shrug your shoulders real quick. So with that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Animals. These two are animals. Good Lord.